Good New Year, meat suits. Welcome back to Read It and Weep, a podcast about movies and friendship. This is season 5. This is the end of season 5. This is the wrap of season 5. The last ever episode of Kevin Bacon's Exquisite Corpse. And we are just 3 winners and 1 loser who played a very long movie watching game. I'm your host, Alex Falcone. With 20 points, I'm recording from North Koreatown, Los Angeles. And I'm joined by 3 of my favorite people to see via video chat. First up, he's at Anthony Lopez, part 2 on Twitter. He's in Southeast Portland, also with 20 points. It's Anthony Lopez.
Hey, Alex, great to be here to wrap up another very normal year, you guys. I think we can all agree we've been on a big, long streak the last, 4 or 5 years, a very normal, very cool years that nothing
you guys
bad
are
happens.
probably lucky not to follow too many comedians on Instagram, but the thing that you do at the end of a year is just post about how good of a life you're living and how successful and cool you are.
Oh, and it's never true. I never believe it for a second. I never believe it.
For Instagram, though, no matter what it is, it's just whether, so it's like, this is how many kids I had and how many houses
that's true.
and vacations we went. Everyone, it's the same thing. It's just, you have to go figure out, what the, add 10x of the bad stuff for every good thing that happened to them, I guess. It's just, that's the post
I think this next year, I'm calling it right now. This is Tony 23. That's what this next year is gonna be. It's gonna be Tony 23. We had the year of Luigi, and now we're having Tony 23.
Welcome to 2023.
Not 2023? I like that also.
That's good.
You can go either way.
I need to workshop with stuff with you before I say it.
Good start.
It's much better.
Also joining us, he's the co-host of the Old Gamers Almanac podcast. He's from the woods of Brooklyn with 20 points. It's Hunter Donaldson.
Hello, it's me. I got 20 points. Big day. Big time.
And bringing up the rear in a distant last place in Northern California with only a pathetic 18 points, it's Ezra Fox.
I like the score so much because if you remember, I think there's one thing that I got that I just gave away all my points for, so I really just determined who won.
You really just
we should
lost.
definitely come back to the whether or not you keep your points rule. That definitely changed from this is a game to this is a shenanigan waiting to happen. But it's a good outcome. It's I should have said I have Tony points, Hunter has Tony points, Anthony has Tony points. I didn't know that was going to happen. Okay, so
all numbers are Tony in this year. I think this is what we learned.
Those are all 20s. It's not you. It's does anyone call you Nat Tony? Oh, that's pretty good.
That's funny.
Not yet. No.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
We make
I know
that
you
happen.
don't like Tony normally, but it is a useful nickname for this case. Okay, so we got to do a couple of quick things. We're going to do a quick catch up from the year. We're going to talk about how the game happened. We're going to make a couple of modifications to our master quality list to see if we can make it more morally justifiable, and then we are going to do we're going to give you a little preview about what's going to happen for us in 2023, and so all of that coming up. But first, I want to do a quick holiday catch up, you guys. So here's what I want you to do in the spirit of the show. I would like to know the best thing and the worst thing you watched over the holidays. I will go first since I didn't tell you guys this was coming. I'll give you a second to think about it. The best thing that I watched for the holidays was the new Matilda. I love it so much, you guys. I love the new. I watched it I watched the whole thing once and then parts of it 70 more times because my niece and nephew watched it many, many times while I was around. But just love it. Have you watched it yet?
I'm very excited. No, because we just because Caleb's getting into Roald Dahl books, so he read Matilda, and then we watched the old Matilda, and then we just found out oh, hey, this is the thing that's coming back. It was a very short wait for us.
So this is what a journey this has been on. So it was a book that got turned into a movie that got turned into a musical, and then this is the movie of the musical. Yeah. So this is like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy,
and
it
rules. On Netflix?
It's on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen it either, Anthony?
No. Netflix recently again canceled another show that I was looking for that I really enjoyed the first season of. They canceled it right after the big cliffhanger ending. So I'm I threw Netflix out the window this week.
They're in timeout right now for sure.
They're very much I can't. I've used this metaphor before, but like it's just a library full with first chapters, and apparently Matilda now. That's it. And that's great. If you love Matilda, is Matilda gonna have second seasons? Because dude, it probably won't. Okay, well then good for Matilda. I hope Matilda's real fucking happy, being self-contained and all wrapped up. Because most things on Netflix don't get now.
Netflix actually like bought a couple of good movies recently, so new movies. So I feel weird about it, but the musical we saw on Broadway a few years ago because my wife and I were there, and it was the only thing playing in the afternoon that was not expensive. It was like, and it was full of kids, and we were not sure what to expect. We knew nothing about it going in, and it's one of our best theater experiences. It's one of the most delightful things we've ever experienced. And then the movie absolutely rules. I was worried they might blow it, but it's great. And I will just say the Matilda, the little girl who plays Matilda, there's only been like 4 good child actors in the history of Hollywood, and she's the 5th. I mean, it's unbelievable.
What's your list? I'd love to hear this list of children that you keep.
No,
I don't have
it's the 2 Corys.
If there's anything I know about Alex, is he ranks the
Home
kiddies,
Alone guy,
Macaulay Culkin.
His 2 brothers only became good as adults, right?
That one, yeah.
Joe Pesci's a child actor. I want to see that. I want to see that tape.
I mean,
that might be the only. Okay,
didn't Joe Pesci literally start as a child actor? Isn't that a thing?
Please be true.
Yeah, like he was a child.
Joey Pesci, but sure.
No, I think he was a child actor who like left for a while and then came back. Like Martin Scorsese got him to come back for Raging Bull. I think that's like Joe Pesci's story arc is that he didn't act for a very long time.
And I didn't actually. I said best and worst. I'm going to say it could be best or worst because I don't actually have a worst. I didn't see anything terrible. Ezra, did you think of one or the other?
I did think of one. Yeah. Sarah and I have been watching Severance.
That was going to be what I said.
Oh, nice.
Well, you can still think.
It's so good.
I'm like halfway through it. I need like a palate cleanser afterwards. So we've been like rewatching. I think Scrubs afterwards as like as a clean, which has also been a lot of fun because of doing the Fake Doctors, Real Friends podcast along with it. But but Severance is just a real fun, creepy vibe. And just a lot of like they could really put anything in this office, and you would believe they give themselves a very wide charter for the weirdness of this place.
It's really the world building in Severance is really immaculate. I think like it definitely takes a lot of stuff from shows from like Lost era type mystery box shows, but it does it in a way that is, I think, like I talked about Severance when it was airing on the show, and just like I love the way it's like obviously like the metaphor for what they're going for is very, very front and center in terms of like the way corporations exploit people and what it's like to work in a place like this. But yeah, I just love the way they use that to drive the mystery. It's really great.
I'm gonna watch it. Oh, actually, you know what? Really quick, the worst thing I watched. We decided because everyone likes Yellowstone that we would watch try to watch Yellowstone.
God.
And we watched the pilot of Yellowstone, and it's so bad, you guys. What has happened? Does it get great by season 5? Have any of you guys watched Yellowstone?
No.
I don't think I'm supposed to watch Yellowstone, so I don't.
Well, so
I've only watched 1889.
Have you
Netflix,
actually?
No,
you haven't.
I haven't.
No.
What if I was really into the Yellowstone universe, but I never watched Yellowstone? It's like I love everything else in the universe. I love all the spin-offs. I love all that shit. But I've just never seen the OG.
Look, I like Sheridan sometimes. I like some of his stuff. I really, Sicario is brilliant. I liked the movie after that, which his name I've forgotten now. And for a while, it was like Succession was for blue states and Yellowstone is for red states. And then it seems like it's crossed over, and all the blue people are talking about Yellowstone now. And but it is, and this is not Taylor Sheridan's problem. This is a Paramount Networks show. And if you want a show that feels the whole time you're watching it like it was made for Paramount Network, it's the first season of Yellowstone. It's the just junkiest, cheapest feeling. It's just so bad. And the whole thing is about Montana, and they're like, what if every time we film Montana, it was clearly not Montana? It's weird. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
You should try skipping to like the first episode of the most recent season.
This is what I want to know is like
literally
all
the money
it looks
in
like,
the world.
I'm looking at like the IMDb, like I guess like ratings by episode. It looks like there's some higher like rated episodes on season 2. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like then people like these are 8s for the most part. People like these.
People
they're
love
characters,
the show. So that's why I felt like I needed to, but maybe not from the beginning. All right, sorry, I interrupted you, Ezra, because I just remembered that.
No, I mean that.
Okay, so Severance.
Yes,
Hunter,
Severance.
what do you want to add to Severance?
I just think the premise of the show is wild and very I don't know, it's one of those shows where you start watching it and instantly you're like, oh, I know what this is about. And I like a TV show that doesn't waste my time, and Severance is a show that like immediately gets to its point. I haven't finished the first season, but I already am because I heard there's going to be a second season, and I'm already feeling a problem of like this might be too concise to be.
Oh, interesting. They didn't
like
leave
my
enough.
favorite thing about the show might be a problem later because it feels like a show that is very like vitally about this one particular thing. And
it sounds like it should have been a Netflix show because they would have just canceled it after the first season.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they should have.
I do think it does have a phenomenal like tension built finale that really ends the season in a very strong place. I really, really like what they do with the end of the first season. It certainly isn't like they don't like destroy the universe or anything like that. It's not like a real like Westworld situation. It's like it's a really good first season, but the ending of the first season kind of makes it like, well, what are you gonna do for another 4 seasons? And that's how you end up at the really bad Westworld. But it definitely doesn't have like a lot of answers, but it has like one really big hook for what the next season is going to be, I think.
Nice.
It's very, very well done.
Anthony, what's your best thing you watched or worst thing you watched over the holidays?
I finally saw the Banshees of the what do you pronounce that movie? The Ignition. It's the new Martin. It's the new Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson movie. It's by the same writer director who did like In Bruges and Three Billboards. It is very, very good. I liked it quite a bit. Is this
actually a horror movie or
no? It's a comedy. It is a charming Irish comedy about Colin Farrell plays this very, very sweet, very, very dull, very dumb man. And his best friend is Brendan Gleeson. And one day Brendan Gleeson says, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I'm going to die one day. You're dumb. I don't want to be your friend anymore. Leave me alone. And it tears this small Irish community apart. It is fascinating. That's the entire premise. It's just one guy
Hunter,
says,
you look
I don't
so
want to be
skeptical
friends.
about that.
Oh, no, sorry.
Do you think people should stay friends forever? Or do you just
absolutely.
There was some breaking news that was on a tab on my computer that I actually would be interested to hear what Anthony thinks about this.
Is it donut based?
No, it's not.
Is it an eighth vote for
Anthony? They just announced a Gran Turismo movie. They're making a movie of the Sony developed racing game series. And that I thought it was a joke. I thought I was seeing a joke.
Okay. Okay. Let me just say, if the cars can talk, I'm into it. If this is Gran Turismo cars, where it's like the hyper realistic race cars, but they still talk and learn lessons about family and humility and stuff.
I think the biggest problem with this is I don't think movies, even with all modern technology, are capable of like realistic enough effects and sound design to actually capture the Gran Turismo experience. Alex,
I agree.
Let me explain what Gran Turismo is to you real fast. Okay,
I've played Gran Turismo.
No, but let me just explain to you what Gran Turismo has become. I don't think you really know.
No, please.
Gran Turismo is a racing game series. They come out with one of these like every 9 years because it takes so long to make these, because every advertisement for Gran Turismo is this. It's just showing a bunch of Japanese sound designers flying to Europe to record the inside of this very specific car on a very specific track condition on a very specific weather day. And this is what they do for every car of the thousands that are in their game. Their whole fucking thing is like, we capture every noise the engine makes. We mic up every engine 100 times. We take 1 billion photos of every car from every detail, from every angle, so that we can most accurately recreate it and then charge you dollars for microtransactions.
Okay, so I'm into that. I like this idea. Now imagine they can talk.
Wait. on top of that, they're all voiced by Clint Eastwood as he's
All
learning
of them?
lessons. Yes,
Yeah.
as he's learning of lessons how not to be racist.
Each car is
Mm.
like a fragmented
Oh.
part of Clint Eastwood's
Yeah.
personality. Like
I-
one of them has a cowboy hat, you know,
I
and
like
the other
this. I do
has
like
a
this. I
gun.
also like the idea of a race car learning to not be racist because, like, he's always loved races,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
funny.
No,
and
can
so
I,
he has opinions on which are the
Guys.
better races.
guys, I don't know. I can't be the first person to have thought of this.
Yeah.
But you know what would actually be a good Gran Turismo movie, Hunter? You just Last Starfighter that shit. You have a race company
Oh,
who like needs a new driver, and there's
Right.
somebody who is so fucking good at Gran Turismo and has like
Yeah.
a full like driving wheel and like a VR headset, and it's like he's just so good at the game.
Okay.
That, like, we got to get you behind the wheel of a real race car.
I guarantee that is not what we're getting.
But it
It's
should be.
because the cars talk.
wildly bizarre to me. Wildly bizarre.
That does remind me of a weird thing about video games that I think that so many people who do real things play the game of the thing now. Like I know F1 drivers like race games on like
Yep.
with that big setup, and I know like international superstar soccer players spend most of their free time playing FIFA,
That's ridiculous, right? Like
it's so weird.
something
It's
else.
Plumbers
why is
love
it that
playing
ridiculous?
Mario.
It's like you're practicing in your head.
yeah.
Like if
I
you're
think-
especially
yeah, I mean,
racers.
I would think that, you know, compared to playing Champions League on the world stage, it would pale in comparison. And compared to like the feel of running around and kicking.
Oh my God.
But I guess they're good enough. I mean, also like
Chess-
soldier, like people, like the army soldiers play Call of Duty all the
Yeah.
time. Like
chess
it's so
players
weird.
play chess computers. Like
Well, that's
it
the
is-
same
That's a
thing, though.
it's the
different one. You
same-
know, that's different.
It is a little
No,
bit different.
it's-
I forgot what I don't know if it was on this podcast or it may have been a podcast I was listening to, but there was a racer like a F1 racer I think last year, or maybe it wasn't F1. It was some that maybe they were NASCAR. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they were literally like I came up with a new like strategy for racing from this like GameCube game that he played that was like a racing game that he just played a lot. And then he was like, "Oh, I should drive like this." And then he made like a concrete change to his approach.
I don't
based
know.
off not
I don't
even
know
a
if this
new
is the same
game,
one,
an
but there
old
was
game.
a thing in I think it was NASCAR this year where like on the last lap, the guy just turned into the wall and floored it
That's
and
it.
destroyed the car.
That's
but
it.
Managed to like move up 10 places because it was so fast, and it is
Yeah.
a classic video game maneuver. Yeah, that was a NASCAR.
They
I'm
asked him,
assuming
they
it's
asked him where he got that idea, and he was like, he just said this random GameCube game, basically.
everybody know like that's a classic race car video game move where you're like, look, I don't have to pay for this, so I can just drive against the wall
I
full speed.
love that.
It is a wild video,
wait,
and I'm
wait.
assuming we'll like change the rules of this race now to
Yeah.
not be allowed because it's
Guys,
so gnarly.
a great idea. Can we do like a fantasy league podcasters where it's like you have to like it's a fake podcast that you have to like pitch the idea for and then like build it up and then like it's what we'll do in our free time, right? So we'll just we'll draft your fantasy podcasters, we'll play it and then
Well,
and then you have to
I just can't wait to move up the rankings of podcasts.
do fake ads, right?
the fake iTunes ranking every year.
Exactly.
Guys, we're getting so many fake listeners. This is a great idea. Okay,
But,
that was the
like-
holiday catch up. We have so much to do. Let's jump into this next thing I want to do. So I want to do a wrap from now about the game that we just played. Speaking of playing games, we played.
that Hunter won.
I didn't win.
Did he? I feel like he
We
tied.
don't know. There's one point where he hasn't.
There's
ever
one
signed.
I
point
haven't
that-
assigned the point yet.
Oh, right. No, you get no points. You need
See,
to be
that's-
present to win. Hunter has you. He was not on the episode.
I think
Right, but
one.
that's
That's why
not
I
really
think
my
one.
fault.
Yeah, and
Is
one,
it not
I
your
think,
fault? The rest of us
Look,
were here. I feel.
No.
fault.
Yeah.
There was a snowstorm.
Yeah, look,
Guess what? When I say snowstorm, a very large percentage of the
Yeah.
listeners know exactly what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
I feel like
I would-
everybody's plans got canceled.
I
But
would honestly love to just take a moment. I would love to hear Hunter's thoughts on Eyes Wide Shut, and then we can give him a point and let him assign it wherever he wants
Oh.
to truly wrap up the game.
I will.
how
We're
we
gonna
should-
put. I'm gonna put 30 seconds on the clock, Hunter. I want to hear all of your thoughts on Eyes Wide Shut. You have 30 seconds.
Mouth
starting
wide open.
now.
God, I think it's a really weird movie to make as your last movie. Like that you're knowing, like that's what I think about a lot with that one. Is like, not to say that it's. I think it's great. I think it's an awesome movie. And also,
Yeah, it
it's just
is.
fun to watch Tom Cruise in that kind of context. But I just think about how Stanley Kubrick is like dying. Like that's
10
this is a
seconds.
really weird movie for like. Here's what I'm going out on is these are my final thoughts. You know, like that's my angle on it. That's all I
right,
got.
you did it. That's 30 seconds.
I
Thank
didn't.
you
I
for
want to say this here. Actually, I'll use this time to reveal this. The snowstorm was so bad that I told you all, like, you know, maybe tomorrow I'll be able to do it. And I knew like there was basically no chance it was happening, so I didn't even rewatch it. I've seen it
there's
like
no
years
way.
ago, but I was like, it's not going to happen.
Okay, guys, I know this seems like, especially towards the end, we got a little chippy, and I feel like maybe, you know, not everyone's on my side for arguments, but I will just say, like, emotionless, just from an outsider's perspective, I would also say this, but I do feel like if he wasn't on the episode and didn't watch the movie,
Yeah,
it's hard to give him the point.
Yeah, I mean that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, admitting you didn't watch the movie at the end kind of actually put me a little bit towards Alex's side.
You know what? You know why I do it?
care.
I give him 1 point.
Miracle in itself. I think.
Yeah.
1 point for honesty is what I give him.
Yeah.
Oh,
shit.
shit.
That's a good point.
I think that me being able to assign the point is the most interesting outcome for the show.
Mhm.
But yes, if we want to kind of have it be about gamesmanship and rules, then we could just have a three-way tie and one loser.
I mean, if it,
or Alex, you want
is
to argue why
recorded.
you should get the point? That would be funny.
No, I do not want the point. The only outcome is you have to give Ezra the point, so it's three-way tie at 20, and then he has 19. I think him falling short.
That's exactly what my plan was.
All right, let's do it. Let's have it make it official. A pointing ceremony.
We should have figured this out. I mean, we could do it randomly right now, but we should have gotten like full Mario Party at the end of this and just started giving out points like crazy.
It's just like, let's
really dumb shit.
I have not played Mario Party in so long, and I played it once with my niece, nephew, and mom, and the new one on Switch over the holidays. And there's this part, I don't know if this was in the old version, I don't remember it, but there's this part where he's like, it's halfway through, so we're going to predict who's going to win. And they just picked me. I was in second place. It picked me. And then the next 3 turns, it gave me huge points for no reason. It was like, oh, there was a secret points on that empty square.
Wow.
It feels like they were betting on themselves. Like they were actually gambling, but then also controlled the game. It felt the most rigged. It was so messed up.
Yeah, they're like, I need this, guys. So this is our horse.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so but here's what I want to do. I want to apply our patented 4-point review process that we have been using on movies to the game we invented. So we're going to go through our own game, and I want to know quickly what was good, what was bad, how much it factor did it have, and what would we change. I'm the most excited about the changes because I've had some thoughts, and I feel like I could actually make it into a real game now that it's too late. But let's start with the positives. So what was good about Kevin Bacon's Exquisite Corpse?
I like that it broke like all my recommendation algorithms for everything that I watched.
That's cool.
I do like that too. I like it's like you're untrackable now.
Yeah, and also like my sister would like ask for recommendations of stuff. You know, it was like because I usually know stuff. Was like, well, have you seen The Third Man recently?
Yeah. Have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah, it broke a lot of my recommendation system as well to other people.
I mean, that's my main thing is I did get to watch some cool ass movies that I have not seen before, including The Third Man and Edge of Tomorrow. There were some really interesting, and I don't know how many of these we would have gotten to if we were just picking random movies or picking movies by some other system.
I mean, you were always going to watch The Girl with Character in 2022, right?
All right, so there were some real wild swings for sure.
Right.
But also, like, you know, taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 was super interesting.
That movie owns.
I hadn't seen Bowfinger before, so yeah, it was a pretty interesting journey that way. What else was good about it?
I like that I can look at this list of random movies, and because of this podcast, they're all associated with each other.
Yeah, they've got a story
though they
together.
Have no cohesion to them at all.
I wish we attracted more about the actors we moved through, because I really feel like this is a year in which we really celebrated the little guy. The guy who's in the background of 2 shots in one movie. That guy was a fucking hero this year. That guy got
to be on the same conversation with Thomas Cruise.
Yeah,
as the thing that helped us move this year. That is true.
Yeah, I gotta say, I got a lot of respect for the little people who are in, you know, like those little bit parts in movies You have enabled us to make some wild moves.
Yeah.
So thank you. This is for them.
I appreciate that. What else was good?
Props for I think just the generally the 90s. We got a lot of good 90s movies from this, which was a lot of fun.
I wonder how much of that is because of the game and how much of it is because it's just like our wheelhouse, as we have a lot of fond and not fond memories. We have a lot of throwback 90s vibes on the show.
Well, I mean,
but definitely the 90s were the hero decade.
Minus maybe like some of Hunter's older choices. The 90s were usually probably the medium between all of our choices at any given time, whether it would be like the 70s or the 2010s. There was always about the same distance from wherever we were any of us were trying to go with the 90s,
Yeah. The other thing I think is really cool is we kind of made a game, which I've never done before, I don't think. And it didn't quite work. And it does feel like but it does feel like, I mean, the premise of watching an actual movie makes it too slow. But if you want a year-long game with friends, if you have a movie watching club, I could imagine that if we play tested this for another 8 or 9 years, we could probably settle on something that's playable and fun. And I like that about it.
Yeah,
I've never been part of a game. I don't know how to make a game. It was really fun. Hunter, you were quick to shake your head that it does not work. So, Hunter, as the game expert, as we transition into what was bad about this point number 2 on our review process, what did not work for you?
I think there's so little room for play in the game that it sort of made things like the little amount of player agency that we each had. Anytime that was disrupted, it didn't feel good, but also paradoxically, that was the only exciting stuff.
Right.
So we sort of engineered it, not on purpose, but accidentally, so that the players don't really get to do really much at all, have very little control. But then also, and so it's kind of boring when someone makes a normal move, but a normal move actually feels good. When you're selecting, I want to watch this movie, from the player's perspective, you're like, oh yes, let's do this. But what's exciting for the game is when somebody says, but that kind of sucks. That's just not fun, actually.
That is a good game insight.
What I would say is a major problem.
The thing that is fun has to not suck.
Yeah.
I think that's a good premise for how to make a game.
Here's the thing, though. We all handled all those disagreements really gracefully, and I feel like it's made for good radio. Just friends getting along. That's all. That's what people came to show up for.
I think this game is very much as it's more of like a bowling experience. It's like everyone, it's like going bowling with a bunch of friends, where it's like one of those things where it's like you all like each other, you're all glad to hang out, but you're all here for different reasons. Like some of you might really actually like the ridiculous, stupid game of bowling.
Yeah, I'm here for domination for sure.
Yeah, be really into the rules. Some of us are just here to hang out, drink beer, eat bad food, don't really care about the game. Some of us just like the lights and the music, and
Well, yeah, that actually sounds like a compliment that it's a flexible game you can each bring something different to.
Counterpoint, it's also kind of like a book group with the potential chance that you'll have some real hard conversations with the host every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, as probably the only person in this group who's been kicked out of a book club before, I feel like that does seem a lot like a book club to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also had a book club. We just decided to end and turn into this podcast as well.
Well, that's true. I also have one of the longest running book clubs on the internet as well.
The secret was we stopped reading books and turned into movies
instead. I mean, I also think so that player agency is a really good game point. I think also from excitement, it's just too low of scoring game. There has to be more points other places.
Yeah,
maybe not the total. 20 means not bad, but the ways you get points are just too rare.
You should be able to score every single time. I think that's probably where it's because you should be able to score maybe every single time where there's maybe an offense or defense element to it, I guess, or you can kick off, or there's just other things you can award points for, I guess.
It's what do you want to be? Do you want to be basketball? Or do you want to be soccer? Right? And both those games are exciting for different reasons.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I guess there has to be in soccer. I mean, and I love soccer, and and the low score does not bother me. I don't mind that it's just so freaking exciting once in a while somebody scores. But there's but in soccer, there's a lot of action between the scores, and in our game, nothing.
There's a lot of almost scoring,
Yes,
which
yeah.
provides a lot of tension,
What
which
is the
what makes the
game
game
equivalent
exciting.
of a lot of beautiful crosses that are just a
Yeah,
little too
we
high
ain't
above
got that.
somebody's head?
We ain't got that in this
We don't
game.
got it yet.
This game, there's either no tension at all because the movie picked has nothing to do with the game, or there's like the tiny amount of tension. But yeah, we never found anything in between that.
Yeah,
I would like if there were more. It's hard. How do we have to figure out how to change this review process so that the bad and the change are closer together, so we can kind of bleed into each other? Because I want to change the things that we're talking about.
We can just sort of like kind of pivot over to that now, I guess. Where
we're losing the it factor, so we'll end on it factor then.
Yeah.
So
I guess I'll also say, I think, just building on this is like, I think what was a good week on the viewing side is not always what was a good week on the recording side, I guess, right? So it's like
That's true.
right. So I think this is always like the tension of this show, where it's like, hey, us having a good, we're either going to have a good time watching, or the listeners will have a good time, when the episode comes out. It's probably not both most of the time.
It's not that there are some, and I think by, we're 9, 10 years, 12 years, 13 years into this, and we should by now have a better idea of whether an input is going to be a good output. And I still don't really know the formula. Sometimes it is fun to watch and fun to talk about, like Batman Forever was both of those things.
I liked Edge of Tomorrow also, I think, on both
Edge of
sides.
Tomorrow was
because there's a bonkers element where we kept on coming back to it, where it kept on moving up and up.
Yeah, I guess the scale is not good or bad movie. It's bonkers to not bonkers, and the more bonkers, the more fun the conversation. Yeah, we need some bonks. Over one of the other things I did over the holidays is I played Wingspan for the first time. This is mostly for Hunter. Fantastically reviewed game, very popular game, beautiful game. Highly recommend this game. It's really, really good.
Very well put together. I love that little birdhouse thing that you use with the game.
It's got a dice tower that looks like a birdhouse. Yep, it's so beautiful. It's really, really. The game is so beautifully designed. But one of the things you have in that game, one of the things in that game you have bonus cards that are like your bird specialties. So you could be like, oh, I'm a water birdology. I don't remember the names of anything, but you're like, if you get bonus points for any birds that live in water. Or you could be like, oh, you're a worm specialist, so any bird that eats worms you get a bonus for. And there's a ton of these, and they are like well researched and clever, so they actually make sense in the world of birds. But if Kevin Bacon's Exquisite Corpse had a bonus card deck or specialty powers that we could have, where like you score a bonus point if this movie has a scene where someone gets slimed, or you get a bonus point if somebody screams or somebody addresses the camera or whatever, like
hidden information.
We do like a snake draft on like the things, right? Like, so
you could do a draft, or it could be cards. But I like the idea that there's like special movie things that give you bonus points, so somebody else could come out and be like, I did this all by myself. I get my full 5 points for this, and then 3 people were like, oh, this one did have a scene where a boat sank. I get a point.
Yeah, you're watching carefully for these things.
It should have been essentially, well, what's great about Wingspan, the type of game, is like a Euro style like tableau builder, where you have like these cards that you're laying out in front of you. These cards kind of interact with the game board and also kind of add up into points. It should have been every time you pick a movie, maybe that movie gives points to another player, but also it goes into your little tableau board. And then you can do something on that board as well.
Like a deck
so when you give someone else points, you're also saying, okay, but at the end of the game, I might get points from this movie I picked that was your pick.
Right. So if there were other bonuses involved that are like, if you watched 4 movies in the same decade or genre or whatever, some grouping where having picked those movies, I think, I mean, I don't know if that would make it more listenable, but it would make it more fun to play.
Or if there's
make it more of a game.
If we like had like a triplet of like of an actor, right? Where it's like,
If you have a hat trick from Tom Cruise, you get bonuses. Or that if your specialty was actors, then it's like anytime you have 2 actors in common that were not the traveling movie, you get a bonus, that kind of thing. Or if yours was a director specialty, the number of movies from the same director gets you bonus points. Or setting or genre or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, that would
make
something.
It a gamey game.
Yeah, that would require much more game stuff though, because in order to design like a working kind of tableau thing, you'd have to kind of get under the hood in a way that I think would very quickly become difficult. But if we wanted to make a real game, that's like
Yeah.
that's a
I mean,
great
this is not a
avenue.
suggestion I'm saying we do next week. This is like if in hindsight I was a totally different person. And what else is the beginning of a new year for than deciding what your life would be like if you were a completely different person?
Yeah, that's what
You
it's
know,
about.
what if we had all picked a movie every week, right? But
Ooh.
we didn't watch all of them. We only watched the movie we ended up on. But if we all drew position the week ahead and we all had our goal movies, and then at the end of the episode, we went on position and we would like each have to pick a movie based on what the
Yeah.
other
Kind of
person
more like
ahead of
Ticket
it
to
just
Ride
picked.
mechanics.
Yeah. Which is
So
also
it's like
Wingspan has some of that.
so this way it's not like one person knows where we're heading up next week at the beginning of the episode, or in a lot of cases in which I had to pick, I had no idea because I didn't prepare, because I didn't
Right.
plan to go first a lot of those times.
Right.
Mhm.
But like if every week we had picked an order, and then it would really be random where we ended up, but it could be real like, okay, I'm trying to get to this movie, so I'm like on my second turn, I'm gonna try to point us in that direction, you know?
The cards also, like our cards that we use, the power cards, were based on writing down literally anything anybody emailed me,
Yeah.
which is not how you design
No,
good
it's not.
cards. If it was a more balanced card deck where like everyone had 5 cards and like there were several that were appeared a lot of times, like make 2 moves in a row, move by 2 actors instead of 1 or something like that, where there was a standard kind of card and you got a lot of variations on those and then a couple of weirder ones periodically, that would also make it more of a gamey card deck. I think.
Yeah, like Alex, writing down everything you get sent, like even Cards Against Humanity doesn't do that, and they're lunatics.
Honestly,
Right?
I
And they don't give a shit.
Yeah,
But
the
in
whole
my
point
defense,
is
our
that their
listeners
game is
didn't send us
bad.
anything racist, so that's
Yeah.
useful.
Like
I
their whole-
honestly am like so I'm like kind of the Wingspan connection is like kind of just blowing up in my brain
Yeah.
of just like screw the like connecting the movies via actors. Let's just have a draft. Like it's like there are movies that are dealt out that then we're each getting to take a turn to come grab that movie to add it to our tableau.
Yeah.
And maybe those movies are connected via actor to give them some sort of semblance of understanding.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think a draft would work so much better than us doing the picking, because then also the turn order wouldn't feel so important.
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean? Like
all
that was
deciding.
one complaint I had, was that especially being last every time, which was not necessarily always bad, but well, actually it was, because the thing is I never got to go first.
Mhm.
So I was always last, which is definitely bad. Whereas last gives you an opportunity to possibly go twice in a row, which is
Right.
good. That never happened for
So you
me.
had
theory,
the
in
most
theory.
chances for that good thing and the fewest successes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we considered that Alex is the first person who's like a broken random number generator? That's why you picked the same name out of the list.
This happened once in a Doctor Who episode when they tried a random number generator, and it turned out that everyone's in a simulation. So this is maybe how we find out that
Yeah.
actually.
Or that was-
simulation.
this is what we've proved beyond a shadow of a doubt from how often Anthony went first in this game, accidentally. But we've
Yeah, it
done
turns
some
out-
very good science where we've proven that we live in a simulation.
I have another, I think, just general thing of the things I would change now, knowing what was wrong with this. I think we knew a lot of these issues, before this week, right? So I'd say maybe like instead of like giving us like sort of a full year, I'd probably maybe say like let's break it up into like maybe like 4 like kind of testing segments where it's like every like 3 months or whatever, we have like, okay, we're gonna start like like getting under the hood and like messing with the mechanics of the game in a more significant way. I think like that would be like to sort of like maybe have like a look back every like, I don't know, season, I guess, or mini season edu.
I think you're right. So the last question is, how much it factor does the movie watching game Kevin Bacon's Exquisite Corpse have for you? How much je ne sais quoi does this game have? 6 for you. What do you think, Hunter? There is no clear number scale, so the number 6 should not affect you.
I'm gonna give it a 58.
58. All right.
I think we're about the same.
And is that good or bad for you?
It's on a 100 scale. So
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
on 10, so we're actually very much
Pretty
aligned.
similar. All right.
yeah, we're
Anthony,
on the same
how
place.
much it factor does Kevin Bacon's Exquisite Corpse have?
I'm gonna give it a 69 420 out of a 70
Out of a possible 420 69.
out of-
Or a possible 80085.
Wow, that's actually a
Um,
really bad score.
yeah. No,
yeah.
I think it. I think for something that came together fast and we stuck with for a year, that's how
We shouldn't have stuck with it so long. We should have. We should have.
God damn it, gentlemen! This is what's wrong. People are quitters today. Not enough
Oh my
people just come up with a quick, brash
But we could
idea
have. We could have
and then
fixed it. We could have
freight train
tinkered with
through
it more.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's
Didn't tinker enough.
Look, if there's one thing this show stands for, it's continuing on for 13 years without
this is
food,
the
water,
resolution
or
I kept
encouragement.
the most ever, right? This is the only resolution I kept for a full year. This is basically like a tattoo,
Yeah.
like an impulse tattoo.
That's
yeah,
what the
look.
show is. Yeah.
Look, I think this is good. It's 4 white guys not really thinking something through, and god damn it,
Yeah.
seeing it through hell or
And
high water
podcasting it.
without a you for you. Yeah, it's
I do like that we had
it
to live
is
with our
some-
consequences of our actions. So that's nice.
I like that. Yeah. All right. So so that's the
Wait, what's your
review
it factor,
process.
dude? What's your it factor, Alex?
I was feeling like it was a C, maybe, which I guess is a little higher than you
a
guys.
C out of,
yeah.
out of what?
The alphabet,
The alphabet,
or out of 7 possible C's. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I
The
mean,
7
C
C
out
R.
of C out of the alphabet is like that's like the third letter into the alphabet. It's a good
Yeah.
Like
Right, but
C
is
into,
A
like,
better
the
or is
Greek
Z better?
Well, it's like C into like the Greek alphabet, like 'cause that would be really bad because it doesn't even belong there. You
Not even
know?
there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
What are you doing in there? C, you don't belong there. Yeah, I feel like there is I do feel like there's a spark of something here, and we did not mine it. But
No.
I feel like we just flew one of those planes that has some sort of like laser detection in it to tell if there's ore in the ground, and then we did not mine it successfully.
That
we
feels
crashed
about
the
right.
plane, we flew it somewhere else, whatever. But somebody who knows how to make games and likes movies more than me and knows more about them, take it and run.
We walked so they could run, whatever it is.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to do it. I
Okay.
honestly think this would be a great thing. Like, I actually think this could be a cool card game where
Dude, I would back that Kickstarter, but also I would I would pitch ideas on that. I'd be interested in seeing like what does the official card game look like, where it's like, for your group of friends, how do you make this work?
The only thing is, Hunter, you have to do it like the same way the Birds games work, where you don't have to know everything about movies before you play. Because the thing about the bird game, I don't know anything about birds. Every bird card has a bird fact. It's great. I learned about birds. The movies have to work that way, where I have a card is a movie. You can know a lot about it already. You can have a thing that you bring into it. But if you have not seen it, it'll give you some basic information enough that you can play as, not quite as skillfully, but basically as skillfully as other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Also, I'll back the Kickstarter. I'll help you with it. We'll promote it on our show.
it would be fun to add a secret, like in like a code game version. You still have to rank the movies, but it's done anonymously. So you want to get your movies ranked high, but you don't want people to know that those are your codes. So you have to just be like, well, it's just a good movie. I mean, it's Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Aliens is just a great fucking movie. It deserves to be at the top, you know?
I like that.
So here's what we're going to do now. Their next order of business, I want to do, because one of the things that's come up a lot, we have this, speaking of the master list of quality, we have the master list of season 5, the greatest movies of all time of season 5, ranked 1 through 41, that we have ranked as an average. Now, on your other shows, Hunter, you tend to do this as everyone has to agree on it, and we have done it as as just a mathematical thing.
Sure.
And as a result, we have an interesting list that represents none of us. And it has some I think a lot of things that honestly, looking through it, I don't hate it as much as some of you guys do. So maybe maybe I'm the averagest person on this show or something. Yeah, I feel like it largely represents me. But we're gonna
think that there is a slight kind of like some things that as it gets sort of more controversial or like sort of challenging or kind of like narratively sort of a note, it kind of ends up in the middle, and a lot of that stuff I think should be higher. But I do think that like overall, looking at this list, like guys, we said the best movie was The Third Man, and the worst movie was Rush Hour 2. Like that's not wrong.
Seems right.
That's not wrong. That's not bad. That's not a bad assessment.
Yeah, I can defend most of these placements.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. That's exactly how I'm feeling. So, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll see I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put this up on YouTube so you can watch as we talk about it. The master list of quality will be there. But let's say, so I'm going to preserve this list in this order for posterity. But let's do a second list. Let's do the master list B out of the alphabet, and let's figure out what is an order that would represent us as a group more.
Okay,
So
can I start off with a question for you guys? I think
Yes.
it's very important for this that I
Mhm.
think. Okay, so all of us looking at the list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, this very weird phenomenon happened with this list where Edge of Tomorrow got grandfathered in
Yep.
to being
Yep.
the third best movie ever made.
And it's
Right?
not it's okay. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. We've done a sin.
Yeah.
This is a sin that I think people
So-
do that in my presence, I feel like a lot, which is that we've taken something that's a little bit of an underdog and
Yeah.
it's good. It's better than people think it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've overestimated it now, and now I'm starting to
Yeah.
turn on it.
Mhm.
Which I
Yeah.
don't
So
like. That's how I feel about Edge of Tomorrow.
That's why I think that's like starting this conversation. The first thing we should do is find Edge of Tomorrow its actual home.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what I want to start with.
I think
Where-
it's somewhere in the 5 to 10 in my opinion. Like
So you're still up high on this
I'm
list.
still high, but like not as high. I think there's stuff I move above it. But I think
So
it's
there's
still,
a couple of other phenomenon that are happening here. One is we watched it ages ago, and we've
Yeah.
watched a lot of good stuff since. If I watched Edge of Tomorrow for the first time today, I think I would still rank it very highly. It was
Yeah. It's
a
a great
blast,
movie.
and I had, but Hunter's right about the underdog thing. Like, had I heard of it, I probably would have been different where I placed it. But this is new to me, and it was like, how did this movie sneak by everybody for 8 years? So. Yeah, I still think 5 to 10. I think it would be hard for me to put it much lower than that.
I think that's fine. I'm just advocating for it being lowered from where it is because it is in the top 3 of a
so
list
one thing
that's
we could
mostly
do,
all-time greats.
there's one methodology for this, which is where everything just goes with the thing next to it. So you just do a series of head-to-heads. This is how like a computer sort algorithm might work.
Yeah, it takes forever to do it that way, though.
It takes way too long, but we can do it for this one. So Edge of Tomorrow and Princess Mononoke. Do you think Edge of Tomorrow is a better movie than Princess Mononoke?
I
The
do
best
not
list of all
know.
time?
I do
I
not.
do not know.
Okay. So I'm going to move it down one. How do you guys feel about it against Lion King?
I think we'd all would love to see the Broadway version of Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't
Live,
think
Die,
in terms,
Repeat live
in
on
terms of-
Broadway.
right? It was so great. But in terms of how important I think it probably is for just general things, like I don't know how I could reasonably put it above it, even though it's a great watch. I would be excited to share this. I think
I agree with you. I feel like it's a little hard to compete with Lion King. Is everybody
Yeah.
cool with moving it down one more?
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Here's where it's starting to get more interesting, though. How do you feel about it against Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
I like Eternal a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. In terms of, I think like visually,
see-
like there's some awesome stuff, and I think that's a better full movie.
This
whereas,
is
like,
where
I love
where
first
the
2
gravity is
acts.
starting to feel like it's equalizing for me. I'm feeling the first 2 were easy. This one feels tricky. Even if you're gonna,
See-
I'll be persuaded, but this one still feels hard for me.
I feel like it's Edge of Tomorrow is maybe a little better than Lion King, but it's not better than Eternal Sunshine of the
Yeah,
Spotless
that's how I
Mind.
feel.
Yeah,
That
so-
was my hesitancy before. Is like I could actually put it above something like Lion King, but
Yeah.
I think Eternal Sunshine
If
was like
anything, now I think the Lion King's a little too high on this list.
Yeah, I'll go back to
I'm
that.
gonna move
This
that
is
down
how it should
next.
work.
Yeah.
This is how that should work. So you guys are very comfortable putting it below Eternal Sunshine.
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
All right, I'm going to allow it, but just so you know, this is not like now I'm feeling a lot of friction for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear
This
you.
next move is hard. I would not move it below Iron Giant.
I'm
Oh,
okay
really?
with that.
Oh, okay. So all right. I would, but I'm okay with it also. If we keep it, I think in this spot where it's like I wouldn't move it below Hero. Maybe I think that's probably where it would settle out for me.
Mhm.
Like just because I got less comfortable with the hero message. I get like the I know this is like military, I guess, propaganda as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like I'm not. It's somewhere in this range. I don't have a problem with any of it really.
Anybody
I
want
guess
to?
this is kind of, it's weird to sort of like say Iron Giant about like the being a weapon is bad. versus turning the guy into a perfect weapon is like that we side on
I
that
like
side
that
of it.
those butt against each other. You're right. Based on that message, I do feel like maybe it should go below Iron Giant. But as far as like pacing and surprise and delight, I think it's a little above it.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm okay with that. I
okay,
think it's a
so-
good number 6.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so we're going to settle for now, at least. The Edge of Tomorrow is number 6. Let me ask the next question. In looking at this full list of movies, would anybody argue that The Third Man does not deserve its top spot?
I think it's the consensus pick for us
Yeah.
four.
I
That's
mean,
why
it's
I think
not
it's
my
up
top
there.
spot. I think in terms of what moved me the
Not
most.
mine either, but
Like I would put Mononoke or Magnolia, I think, above it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Third Man was one of those movies I'd never always wanted to see it. I was so hyped to finally get around to see it, and it's rare. Like a lot of like older movies like this, I can appreciate sort of academically, and I can like think like I can find things to like about it, but so few of them. You see them and you're like, oh wow, that like holds up and like it feels old, but it also like is as engaging as a modern movie in a lot of ways, and it's as interesting, and I can just see the importance of this. Like, I do think that like to me this like how good of a movie, especially when you compare it, the fact that until fucking number 10 on this list, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, there's almost 50 years between 50 plus years. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is 8, I guess. So that's 30. But like the fact that there's a 50-year difference between most of everything else on this list and that movie is like, it's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it probably would be my top movie. Still, I'm very comfortable with it at number 1. But if everyone is comfortable with it being in the top grouping, I think we leave it for now. Here's my next question.
Are we going to move Apollo 13 down? Is that your next question?
Is Rush Hour 2 the worst movie of all time?
Oh, you want to go?
Is there anything that I want? I don't.
Is there anything that you want to be below Rush Hour 2? And I know, Anthony, you made, or I think Hunter, maybe you made this really interesting case that Shrek has to either be best or worst.
Yes.
And that Shrek is being disrespected at 39, but wouldn't be disrespected at 41.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't.
But I can't do it.
I can't do it either.
I agree with that premise. I like where you're thinking with that, but man, I hated Rush Hour 2 so much.
I'm not going to defend Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 2 sucked.
Yeah. I would want to move Shrek up a little bit, honestly. If we're if we're dislodging it from the best or worst dichotomy, I think.
Where would you move Shrek?
I'd pit it between Lost Highways and Dead Ringers. I think that's like a good. That's a good place. What?
I don't know if I put it up there because those are two movies that I also feel like are like they're a little low for.
I'm joking. I think those two are definitely way too low on the list. So it's in the cut, which I think is seen at 27 is shocking to me.
Yeah,
In the Cut is my. I'm working on my own personal version of the list. And my
I want to come to those biggest issues in a second. So we finished the top, we finished the bottom. I think it feels like Shrek and Rush Hour 2 are going to stay where they are for now. No one is making a strong enough case.
Can we move Chances Are down one at least?
Yeah, Chances Are sucked.
Because like I can't imagine. Actually, I put Chances Are as worse than Transformers the movie. That'd be my new 40.
Oh, not a million years. How dare you?
Let's get something for Transformers the movie.
No, because here's the thing.
Transformers the movie is one of the worst things I've ever sat through. Chances
you
Are
didn't
was
watch
pretty
it at
fun.
triple
I
speed.
feel like Chances
You
Are
didn't
is
watch
maybe...
it at triple speed.
Do you remember how Chances Are ended?
Chances Are, but it's wild. It's a weird movie. But the Transformers the movie is awful.
No, seriously. Yeah. Look. Transformers the movie has a bonkers cast, and I'd say like a pretty fun soundtrack. And Chances Are is Old Boy, but the happy version as an ending.
I would put Chances
Are,
which is really
higher. Weird.
I would put Chances Are higher, honestly.
Can I
Chances Are like disgust me. Like Transformers just kind of boggles my mind.
The Transformers the movie disgusts me more than Chances Are.
Can I make a deal? Can I make a trade? Can I make a trade? I think Alex, I would like you to consider their proposition. Okay, with what they're proposing, because what I would like to pose as like if you give them that, I honestly think we should move. It's small, but it's going to seem big. I think we should move Soylent Green up to right underneath the Cable Guy.
I agree with that.
I think Soylent Green is at the bottom of the last of like the good movies, and it needs to be at the last of like the better.
So that was
movies.
my next move. So let's focus. So now I want to go. We'll do one round with each of us where you tell us the worst ranked movie, the most shocking movie on this list, and then we can just see if we can move it for you.
Okay.
And mine, since we just brought it up, the most embarrassing thing on this list is Soylent Green at 36. I rewatched it after we watched it. I've thought about it a lot since then. I kind of love this movie. I think there's some incredible stuff going on. I think it's really interesting. I don't remember why I hated it the first time around. I think actually because it was earlier in the season, maybe we actually it was on the lower end and then we just kept adding stuff ahead of it.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I think Soylent Green belongs to be in the chunk with the good movies, in the upper chunk of good movies.
Soylent Green, I think, is definitely a movie that by 2020 sensibilities, it's a very jagged movie. It's an incredibly sharp movie. It is a movie that as you handle it, you're going to cut yourself and it's going to poke you and it seems unpleasant. But I think that is one of those movies as you kind of get away from it and the edges kind of dull to you. You can kind of see that oh, this is actually a movie trying to do something. Like the way all the stuff about women as furniture, as literal property, it comes off as very tacky and sharp when you first watch it, right? But it's the type of sci-fi idea that you they weren't just doing that out of a shitty place. They were generally trying to do something here that's interesting.
Yeah. And there's so many visually striking things in that movie. The scoops, the design of the stairs, the design of the Soylent Green factory, the garbage trucks dumping corpses, the librarians. There's so many things about that movie that still come back to me. Here's the question though. Now that because we agree on that part,
it could be higher.
But where does it go? Because I think we disagree so much about some of the middle movies. It's hard to know where to actually put it right now. So it definitely, to me, let's say, where do you guys? Okay, actually, how about this? Where's the quality line these days for you? For each of you, what is the line where it switches over to mostly crappy movies from mostly good movies? Not all, but mostly.
See, I think that the below PJ,
I
guess below Soylent Green right now is where the list turns to stink.
Well, that's okay. So that's the garbage line. But where does it go from mostly great to okay, and maybe even a little bad?
I think looking at this list right now, I think it is bangers until in the cut. I think everything from one, seriously, in the cut, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Taking a Felon, 1, 2, 3, Battleship Potemkin, Dead Ringers, Lost Highway, Out of Sight, Michael Clayton.
That's where it gets definitely messy.
It gets messy in the low 20s. I agree with that.
Every single one of those movies, though, even though if messy, is a great movie. I would gladly suggest anyone to watch every single one of those.
I agree with that.
Princess Diaries, Anastasia, Casper, probably not. Life Aquatic, if you really liked Wes Anderson movies, I'd be check that one out.
I think that's the right read for the below in the cut, I guess, maybe until Endgame. I think that's a genre specific recommendations, right? Where it's look, if you really like this kind of thing,
this could work.
Yeah.
Sure.
But not a general recommendation. So I would say then from that discussion, it sounds like we could safely say Soylent Green should be in that middle messy chunk.
Yeah, I'd put it below in the cut.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Where I would go.
Because this is a good movie to talk about for sure, and for me, it's worth sharing, even if it's not a fully enjoyable experience. I think, Hunter, sometimes when we talk about older games, they talk about kind of the jank sometimes, of the mechanics, and it's this is where it's it's
got some jank,
but I not an unenjoyable amount, I guess. Right?
You got to meet it where it's at.
Yeah.
I feel like. For me, there are several movies in that messy section I didn't like at all. For me, I would put and would not recommend to people I hated. I would not wish Dead Ringers on an enemy as a prank. I might make someone watch it, but only to watch them be unhappy.
Well, no, I'd maybe move that. Well, all right, I would consider moving it down because that's that'd be the thing where it's if this is your thing, this is a thing. I think this is. I would say
if you good shit. You'll like this good shit. That's what you're saying.
I feel like for me, Soylent Green has to be in the 17 to 19 range. It's up there. And I would even for you guys put it above Apollo 13.
I can't do that because I can't like.
That-
I don't know,
yeah.
there's so many. There's things that are like more universally enjoyable that are like well executed. That's above it, right?
Well, Michael Clayton
yeah.
Out of Sight maybe, but Lost Highway and Dead Ringers are
No,
very
I know, but like
specific,
also
weird
Planes,
movies.
Trains, and like Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. I think those are
Yeah,
just generally
it's
like,
not.
there's
Soylent
enough
Green is
above it
not
that's
better
good.
than taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Well,
I will
absolutely.
not allow it to cross that line.
It definitely is.
No, it is not. Take
I
the
don't
way
agree either.
Yeah, I
you
disagree
feel
also.
about taking a Pelham. The way you
I
would feel about Soylent
I
Green.
liked taking Pelham. I liked it a lot. I just don't think it's as good as I don't think it's as I don't think it's as interesting as Soylent Green.
It's not trying to say anything, but whatever it's trying to do, it does. It's like
I
so.
mean,
It's like
it
maybe
is.
lower difficulty,
really
higher
liked it.
execution.
I really liked
as
it. I just thought it was
movie
not
about New York City and this movie about like New York culture and like this planning and these characters.
Would you give me Soylent Green right below Pelham?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Let me see where that is.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's above
personally, I
Planes,
also,
Yeah, I
It's
think
above
that's
Planes,
still-
Trains. Yeah, I'm fine with
yeah,
that.
I think
I
that's
think, I think in the cut being below it is a little messed
Well, we'll
up.
see what
too.
happens because apparently we all get to
so
talk
that was
about
my
something
one.
that
So
bothers
now,
us.
okay, everyone gets one challenge
Okay.
movie. So Hunter, what is your challenge movie now?
On my personal version of this list, In the Cut is my number 3, and on our list, it is number 28.
Yeah. So you want to make that your primary your one challenge.
Yeah, because everything else, like in my top 5, I mean, I guess like Happy Together is a very important movie to me, but it's like I think it's like fair where it is compared to like how everyone else feels about it. I think In the Cut, for my own personal taste, is just way too low. So I would just like to propose that I feel like that movie. I feel like we kind of did that movie a little bit dirty, is what I think. But
Yeah,
In the
and I
Cut.
definitely think that there is a spot between like the Virgin Suicides, Happy Together, Eyes Wide Shut, But I'm a Cheerleader, Batman Returns. This place where In the Cut would fit very comfortably, like sort of thematically, tone wise, kind of what those
Yeah, I
movies
agree.
are all going for. I think it is very similar to a lot of those movies.
I hated it, but you guys convinced me that it was interesting and important. But it was like a real tough watch, a real unpleasant 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
it's tough for me to put
for
it.
2 hours felt what it feels like to be like every woman every day of every second of their life.
Sure. I think
it's-
there's an important place for that.
Yeah.
But I would rather feel like what it's like to be a Lion King for 2 hours if I had the choice. So
Alex would rather be a king than a woman. You heard it here.
And a lion.
Specifically a lion, Hunter.
Sure.
I have no interest in being a human monarch. It's disgusting, but the lions, they get it.
Why
that's my
couldn't you be a
nomination. I'm
lion
not necessarily.
queen, huh?
No,
Alex?
it's just-
Any improvement on In the Cuts part will be fine with me. I'm not gunning for a particular spot. I'm just nominating it as.
So Ezra, what do you think?
Wait. I was going to say, Alex, let it be known that you would also, it seems like, rather think you killed your own parent than spend 2 hours as a woman.
Interesting. But only spend he only thinks he kills his parents for about an hour.
Well, no.
Yeah.
15 good minutes before and 15 after that are great.
So wait. Well, no, but all right. Well, let's keep it moving.
Anyway, Ezra, where do you? We need to wrap this up really quick. So,
well,
Ezra, what do you?
I was going to say I'm not 100. So I don't think I was on. I think I had a conflict on the In Cup episode, and
Yes,
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think you were on that episode.
You're abstain.
And I think I want to say that I'm pretty sure I knew I was going to be able to make it. So I'm not sure I actually ever finished In the Cut. So I think I got like 2/3 of the way through it. So I don't think I can actually fairly vote this one.
It was good. I felt like Hunter and I kind of gave Alex a dissertation on why that movie was so important and so good during that episode. It was a fun one.
Yeah. It was okay. It was an interesting discussion, not fun to watch at all. I would be willing to give you.
I want to move it above Battleship Potemkin at least, because I feel like that's too high.
Easy above Potemkin. I think easily above Dead Ringers, which is again a prank, not a movie. Lost Highway I think is interesting, but is too weird. So I feel like that I think Lost Highway is a place around where that would work. So for me, I would easily give it 21. I would do 21 without hesitating. Above that is harder for me because I did think Out of Sight and Michael Clayton and Bowfinger were so fun, and Apollo 13 is the best movie of all time. So that's where I would it would be easy for me to give it to 21.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Just any
Anthony?
moving it up at all is fine.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Ezra, what's your challenge movie?
All right, I don't think I'm gonna get much traction on this one, but I'm gonna put it in there. In terms of this is, I think because of Alex, I think Avengers is too low.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. It's not because the rest of us that Avengers is so
but like
low.
it's just in terms of like the idea that
course.
even for just importance, I guess, right? In terms of like this is a wild thing as like a culmination of a whole bunch of things, and like I can't believe this is below Hard to Be a God. Like that's the thing I can't live with.
Yeah, but that makes me laugh though. But yeah, I mean,
it's where it belongs between Hard to Be a God and PJ. It makes sense.
Yeah,
no, yeah. I mean, you're right. I think it definitely should be below PJ, but. I mean, if you were like you have to pick one of these two movies to watch right now, I would watch PJ in a heartbeat over it.
Well, okay, you can watch PJ three times.
Qualities. PJ is not a paid advertisement for the U.S. military and interventionism. You can
literally watch PJ 2.5 times over the course of Avengers Endgame as well.
And I would. Yeah. I think it would be tough to say I'd watch Girl with Character because not understanding Russian really took the fun out of that movie. And I think I wouldn't have liked it anyway. So that's where it would fall for me.
I mean, here's why I'd put it. Like, I don't actually think it's as fun as say like Princess Diaries, but I do think it's better than Anastasia in terms of like this is like for what they're trying to put out.
I like
execute
that.
It so well. I think it's for me. It's like this is like people are not going to be talking about Anastasia like in terms of much importance. I think. And I think. In that sort of like the low 30s section, I feel like it's above that in terms of this is very interesting in terms of how do you try to tell this big of a story that you've been like leading up for this long. I think it's problematic in terms of like messaging, but like in terms of cultural impact, right? We're not talking about Anastasia in the same way.
Yeah, this is a good year to dunk on Anastasia too. I mean, like, who cares? Like, screw you, Anastasia.
Man, we do have an interesting thread of like U.S. military propaganda and also Russian propaganda. I guess
propaganda as well.
That's an interesting combination. I will give you Above Life Aquatic with no hesitation. Okay. I'll let you have that. I did like Casper a whole lot.
I know. I'm fine. Look, Casper's better. If I could move another one down, I'd move Anastasia down, but a little bit lower then, because I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I would probably want Casper above Anastasia.
I would throw Anastasia in the garbage.
Okay, so first of all, so we have as a bonus move, we're going to move Anastasia down, and then you can have Avengers Endgame at 31. How does that sound?
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah,
Anthony, challenge movie.
Yeah, challenge movie. All right, so I don't actually know what I want to challenge. I just want to sort of make a point that has been eating at me for almost a year.
Great. Oh man,
that I tried to articulate this on the podcast, but I don't think it did it very well. And I would like to make the argument about why I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest should be moved up at least one. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest gets moved up just a little bit. Because I've talked about this before. Of all the new movies we've watched, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest isn't my favorite of the movies I've watched this year. But it's the one that's maybe stuck with me the most. That I've just been the most impressed by. That I saw this movie. It really, really, really connected with me, really made an impact. And a lot of that is Louise Fletcher's performance as Nurse Ratched.
Yeah.
Has really, really stuck with me as a performance. I just could not stop thinking of. And Louise Fletcher died this year. I had always known her before this as Kai Wynn in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is a phenomenal performance. I love it. But to see her, like a younger version of her, give such an iconic performance, and something we talked about during the episode that I think you guys kind of said, and I even kind of had this after like watching the movie for the first time. You hear about Nurse Ratched. You have she's one of the greatest villains in cinema history, and you watch it and you realize like she's kind of just like a kind of a stone lady who's doing the best at her job. Right? That's really all she's doing. But the thing that has stuck with me so much, especially over the last few years of watching sort of like the banality of evil take over this world, is that Nurse Ratched, the thing that makes her one of the greatest villains in movie history is that, okay, the text of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, okay, the text of that movie is a not insane man is cons his way into a hospital. Everyone in the hospital is talking about how he's not insane, and then at the end they lobotomize him. Right? Like it is a fully evil thing. Like there was no other reading as that, and like her being the best at her job at something so evil is she is the best evil person. That's all she is, and that is such a incredible villainous character. Is that she does play it like somebody who's just stern but really trying to do the best work she possibly can.
Right.
But the work she can do is when it's like saying like she's the best possible prison warden in a fucked up prison. It's
right.
like,
Yeah.
There is no such
I just
thing
want
as
to add to this, Anthony. I just want to like subscribe to what you're saying and then add a tiny bit, which is that from her point of view, it's not clear that he's not insane. And I don't mean that to disagree with you. I think this agrees with you, is that from her point of view, anyone who doesn't follow the rules that are set down arbitrarily is insane. So his misbehavior of not following her system counts as insanity. So for her, she thinks she's doing the right, normal, just thing by the law, which I think makes it even scarier than if she thinks she's doing something wrong for fun or power or whatever.
And
I like it a lot.
I think that's just like she is as a villain and as a villainous performance. It is one that has stuck with me and like sends shivers down my spine when I think about like how good her performance is. Plus, Jack Nicholson's great in the movie.
Yeah.
But Louis
so I feel
Fletcher,
like we can all agree, not as fun as Edge of Tomorrow.
No, not
but
as
we'll
fun as
definitely
Edge of
move you
Tomorrow.
up one. We'll give you the one for sure.
I would be fine with it. I would be fine with it being our new number 6 because I on my own list I ranked it higher than it's funny, it's lower overall, but I ranked it higher than both Edge of Tomorrow and Iron Giant.
I really love that movie. It really, like I said, really like hit for me. I also like I nerd out about any movie that shows like a place in Oregon I've been to.
Yep,
so like
also
that
cool.
makes me happy. But yeah, great movie, great fucking movie.
Two things I think on it that like I think this is actually one of the fun things. Yeah, so I move it up to 6. I feel comfortable with that actually, as well, above Edge of Tomorrow. Just because of like I think like in terms of like as an achievement, I guess like this is pretty cool, and also to have a movie that can speak to you pretty directly from that long ago is pretty amazing. A couple other things, like one, like I love the mental health sort of I guess comparison with that and the other Jack Nicholson role I guess we get with Batman, and that's a real fun split. And then also if you kind of pair it with Virgin Suicides and But I'm a Cheerleader in terms of like looking at those, like what do you do with the unfair like power structure situations where it's like someone is sort of like being held in this way, like you get to take it in a light way where it's like you get a happy ending with But I'm a Cheerleader, and there's like this other sort of like maybe like you get autonomy, but like, you know, this different kind of like escape, I guess, from that in Virgin Suicides. And so I know I maybe this is one of the cool things about this season is that when you start making the thematic connections, where no one is like looking at these 3 movies necessarily right now and seeing like, hey, this is how they all connect. It's a cool thing that we get to do this, having just thrown a lot of paint on the canvas.
I like that. So we're gonna call it now for time. So we're gonna say our official top 10 for those of you not following along on YouTube are The Third Man, Magnolia, Princess Mononoke, Lion King, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Cuckoo's Nest, Edge of Tomorrow, Iron Giant, Hero, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from 1966. That's our master list. I'll post the whole thing in the show notes so you can see where we ended up.
Well, hey, Alex, real quick, what's the one thing that everyone... Can we just go around real quick? What's the one thing that everyone should watch that you'd want everyone, if they haven't seen it, to watch on this list? Like everyone's top pick of like, y'all need to see this right now.
I mean, this is so dependent on what you've seen, obviously, from the question.
Just say, if you don't know...
And I think The Third Man and Edge of Tomorrow are both like partly high based on... the fact that we had not seen them or had not seen them as recently, and so those are like easy recommendations. If you've not seen those two, go see those two. The thing that surprised me that was the most interesting on here, I mean, I do think I would throw out But I'm a Cheerleader also as just like a fun if you missed that, it's a fun revisit, and
real good.
It's neat. Anybody else?
I mean, I don't want to be a broken record, but I would just say if you haven't watched In the Cut yet, you should watch In the Cut. I didn't know about Jane. I don't know how to say her last name. I guess Campion. I don't know. That might be right. That might be wrong.
Campion.
Yeah. But it was the first movie I'd seen by her. She also did Power of the Dog, which won an Academy Award. which is I haven't seen that yet either. Probably not. I'm not even really excited about that one.
I
just
loved Power of the Dog, but there's been some really interesting discussions and people I like who did not like it, and so it's been an interesting vibe from it. But I thought it was great.
I'll watch it eventually, but right now I just bought the piano on 4K Blu-ray from Criterion, and I'm really excited to watch that by her as well. Mostly because I saw that it was also erotic, and I like the that's like kind of what I liked about In the Cut is the pervert stuff. I guess.
Okay, as an Anthony, your other bonus recommendations?
I just not because not many people saw it, and I think it's such a fun time. It makes you feel very cool out of sight. I would recommend it still to everyone. But also the new ones for me that I didn't get except for this project, was the two early Batmans. And I think they felt really fun to watch. They looked so cool, and I guess I don't know if it's getting as much it's cool when you see something that actually is relatively speaking pretty old and can still speak to you and still looks good. So I like that a lot.
That's been one of the most interesting parts of this for me is how much I liked those two movies, and because I just think that genre as currently exists is bankrupt and needs to stop as soon as possible. It's just the worst thing that's happening, and yet those two are both super fun and cool. And so I wonder if there's an alternate universe where the superhero genre stayed interesting instead of becoming so just rote and CG boring and gross. And
I honestly don't. I wouldn't even say those are even the same genre. I mean, they're both about superheroes.
Right, it seems like it's not. Yeah.
They're really not. As far as tone goes, they're complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, Anthony, recommendation.
I mean, I've already talked about obviously about Third Man and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is making a huge impact on me. But if I really had to recommend one, if you haven't seen it, I haven't rewatched Princess Mononoke since I was in high school, and rewatching that again, that movie fucking is real good. It's very well made. I liked it quite a bit, so I would definitely suggest watching that again.
We watched some good movies this year, guys.
Yeah,
I'm really looking at this. There's some really good stuff here, and that's not a bad. This has probably been one of my best media consumption years, I guess, as a result of this project.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's another thing back to the good from this game. Okay, last thing I want to do before we let everybody go in our remaining couple of minutes, I just want to have a quick chat preview of the upcoming what's happening about the future. I want to have a quick thing about the future. So this is the end of season 5, and this is also in some ways we're going to call it the end of the Read It and Weep branding. That's my modest way of saying it. So we are getting ready to launch a new project that is essentially season 6 of this podcast in a lot of ways. So you're listening to this on the Read It and Weep feed. It'll feel like Read It and Weep season 6. They have a new logo. That's, I think, a lot and a slightly different vibe. It's going to be a little less about movies. I don't want to tell you everything about it yet. We have a lot of meetings. We're going to work out some kinks ahead of time instead of as it's going. But
we'll see.
There still will be kinks. Oh yeah, don't worry.
Oh yeah. It'll be kinky for sure. Yeah. But we're calling it a new show, largely for branding purposes, but it'll be the 4 of us talking about stuff. And if you liked this, you will continue to like it, I believe. But hopefully also we'll drag in some new listeners by not having a 700 episode back catalog for you to listen to when you show up. And also, there's a bunch of other things that I think will be improvements that I think will be hopefully popular with you and with new listeners. But it'll be in the same feed. So if you're here, change nothing. It'll just start showing up. The colors will change, whatever. But also it'll be available on a new website and a new show, and we might say a new email address at the end of it. But a lot of similarities. A lot of it will feel like season 6, but hopefully it also feel like a sparkly new show that everybody will like.
Yeah, and we're hoping that that one, I mean, the parts we like the most about this, of us hanging out and talking and having a good time and consuming good things, that stays the same. And then also that we'd be able to have a show that you would be able to, if you liked it, describe to a friend in one sentence, and they would also get it, as opposed to whatever we are now.
Where even when I would give you the weekly description of the show, it would take me several paragraphs, and I had all the time to practice. So it'll be a simple concept, and I think a fun concept, and also it'll be taking some inspiration from different pieces that you recognize from the show, including the master list, which Hunter brought us over from his other shows, and Also, it's got some reminiscence from the Summer of Fun from a few seasons ago that Anthony and I did together. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to come. I just wanted to give you guys that warning. We're going to be gone for a week or two, at least two, I would say, while we retool and do a bunch of work. And I'm going to be in the tech and production minds for the next 2 weeks. We work on that as well as
firmware update. All those
we have
things.
To update my firmware.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to do. I think we're going to do at least one test episode and then throw it away. That's our promise to you. Is that we will have worked out at least one of the kinks without you being there. And we will want to include all of you who have listened to the show for a long time. So we'll also be like soliciting some early feedback from you as well. So thank you guys for listening to Read and Weep for all of these years. And we're going to keep Read and Weep branding as on hiatus in case we come up with a great new movie game, or when Hunter finishes building his card game, we could play it together and promote it as Read and Weep. But we will, we'll still be hanging out as friends and less about movies. All right. That's it. I'm excited about that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Let me play the music. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Read and Weep for all of these years. If you have any feedback for us, send us an email, podcast@read-weep.com. We would love to hear things that you're like, oh, please don't ever change that. And then we'll tell you how different it's going to be. We appreciate all the Meat Buddies supporting the show, and I especially appreciate my friends hanging out with me every week. Thanks for being here, Ezra Fox.
Of course.
Hunter, good talking to you, buddy. And Anthony, such a great time.
Have a wonderful Tony 23, everybody.
Everybody enjoy 2023. Bye, everybody.
Bye.